Alright guys, let's do a quick little video on head gaskets. Now, if you guys are used to doing, especially small block Fords, um, you'll know all this already. The guys just coming into it are trying to learn. Small block Fords, the block actually has water jacket openings in the front and in the back. Now you have to make sure that you orient the head gasket the right way. Most of them will come telling you which way is the front. Now the reason why they do that is because water gets forced to the block, and if the front water jackets are open, water will come up through the top of the head and will starve the back of the motor for coolant. So when they design the head gaskets, they design the front to be sealed off to block that water. The back of the head gasket will be open to allow the water to flow. Now when you get gaskets, some of them will be the same front and back. Some of them there will be different designs on the front and the back. But that part is irrelevant. So I've done a bunch of questions and research trying to figure out what's going on. But this gasket here is no steel shell on the front except for the rings. On the back side, you will see the steel through. Now, when you place this on the driver's side with the front oriented forward, like it's supposed to be, you will see the side without steel showing. Now, when you put it on the other side, of course, this will have to be in the front still. You will see the steel on that side. Now, it's irrelevant upside down which way it goes, as long as you have the front on the front side without the openings. So if it doesn't specify what's the front, to kind of help you out, it'll be blocked off. So you want to look for the area that doesn't have these jacket openings in it for water to get through on the front side. So you essentially block those off, forces water to the back of the motor to come up through the heads and run back through. And there you go. I mean, it's pretty simple. Make sure you do a good job cleaning. I highly recommend a gasket scraper. They're pretty cheap. They work very well. It's better than trying to use a putty knife or something. It's just easier. It comes with replacement blades. Comes with somebody who used putty knives and scrapers all the time. I finally decided to buy the scraper with the razor blade on it. It's just better. They also make wheels, like plastic wheels, like this. This is a 3M. Now, if you're going for just a cast iron block, these help a lot with cleaning up what you have left, if it makes sense to you. So you want to scrape off as much as you possibly can without digging into the block. It's cast iron. It's going to be tough. It's going to be kind of hard to dig into with the razor blade. You probably mess the blade up. So, do your good job. Scrape it all down. Wipe off as much as you possibly can. You can use this to really kind of not polish it, but to make it look, you can see what's going on. It'll remove a little bit of stuff, but not a crazy amount. I know they make different grits. With the cast iron block, I don't think it matters if you get the heavier grit, but you're going to have to do some research on what kinds you get from what brand, because they're all going to be different. So this is the one that I've used a ton. It's lasted me a few years. It works well in cleaning up after I've scraped it off. So it's an investment for you. But whether you're doing studs or you're doing bolts, just remember to keep that blocked off area forward. Tell you what, why don't you just come on in here and take a closer look. All right, so remember the blocked off area is forward because you want to block off these two water jackets. So you make sure your surface area is clean, it's degreased. Get some nice isopropyl alcohol, wipe it down, and then whether you're doing bolts or studs, I would recommend, you have to have these dowels in. Okay, this is a must. If these are missing or messed up, buy replacement ones. They're not expensive, and it's a must for lining your head up. So some guys will throw their studs on, then throw their block down onto the stud. It slides down nice. What I've had happen is, as you're sliding it down, especially if you have good ARP studs, those threads are going to be sharp. They're going to be clean. As you're sliding down, you're going to get aluminum into them. You're going to have to clean them off. Your torque numbers might not be perfect. It's just not worth it. So you can slide your head on. Those pins will help hold it in place. It won't go anywhere once you slide them in. And then, run your studs or your bolts down. You want to make sure you use a good lube. Back in the day, guys just used motor oil. I wouldn't do it unless you had to. So, just, whatever you do, don't put them in dry. This is ARP thread lube. And I got this because I do a lot. So, it also comes in small tubes. I think I have some left over here. It also comes in a small tube. If you're only doing one job, I highly recommend picking it up. It works great. They've tested a bunch of them. I think Project Farm, if you guys ever watch that guy. If not, check him out. He tests all kinds of things. This is one of the best ones they had. So ARP and the other stuff. That's what they do. You want to make sure that, once again, these are clean. This 351 does not go into the water jackets for the bolts. But you want to check what you have going on. Some guys run some sealant in them anyway. If you do, I wouldn't get the tape. It does help run them in there. It is a lube, especially, like I said, if you just use the liquid putty stuff of it. I don't have any closer. You know what? I do have some. Hold on one second. Here we go. Double check them all. All right, so especially 302 guys, so you want to use a good thread sealant. I use this on everything. It's good for gas and oil and everything. It seems to work really good. 351 guys, I've heard that some guys have them go into the water jacket. I haven't seen it yet. So 351, especially mine, does not go into the water jackets. And if you're new to all this stuff, basically these head bolts, 302s mainly, but like I said, some guys said they've had it, even though I've never seen it. They will go through the block, and it's open on the bottom side into where the water jacket is, where the coolant runs through. So you want to have a sealant on there so that pressure doesn't leak up through the bolt, through the threads. Even if you don't have it going into the water jacket, if you don't have anything else, if you're just throwing studs in, I would say it's okay to use some thread sealant if you have it. It's not going to hurt anything. If you're not sure, it's not going to hurt anything. If you're running head bolts, I highly recommend making sure yours does not run into the water jacket. If they do, use the sealant. If not, grab some good ARP thread lubricant, because you're going to have a better job. So yeah, there it is. Go ahead and throw your head on. Follow the sequence that it tells you to follow. Follow the torque specs it tells you to follow for what your application is. So this is somewhere where I can't just tell you torque this to this because it'll be perfect for this. So what you want to do is lay your head on at this point. Make sure your head was clean, the block is cleaned, everything's alcoholed. You're not grabbing the gasket with your oily hands and throwing it on there. I normally don't use gloves except for when I'm doing things that can't get oily. So another tip is to make sure there's not enough water in the block to where when you start rocking the car back and forth or the truck, whatever you have, it's not going to spill some water out of the water jacket. It's down in there a little bit. So this is the perfect time, if you haven't already, to run this up and down. Run your pistons up and down. It's not going to hurt anything while the head's off. When your piston's all the way down to the bottom, wipe clean, check it. Don't wipe it clean with alcohol. Just use a nice rag or something. Towels, clean towels. Just run it through, make sure there's not a grit that fell down in there, make sure everything's clean. Make sure nothing's going to have dirt in it, because once you seal it on there, it's there until you fire it up. So everything's clean. I can't stress it enough. Throw your head down, start your torque sequence. Now, a general over of that is start in the middle. Run your studs in if you're running studs. Then nut them. If you're running bolts, put them all loose. Stick them on there loose, hand tight. Start in the middle, and then you work in increments. So I do it in steps of 3. Some guys say more, some guys say 2. So I do it in steps of 3. I've not had a problem, except for times like this, and I don't think it's from that. So I just I have some issues with the heads themselves. So I have new AFR heads to go on it, and I should fix that problem. But all your threads are clean. Run the bolts down. Start from the middle. Torque it down light, and then you want to go diagonal, kind of an X, and then go further out in your X. Corner to corner, top corner to bottom corner, and then start over. So you do that until everything's torqued down. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps to get your final torque. And then, everything on the other side the same exact way. Get everything up, get it fired up. Now I have fired them up, drove away, gear's been fine. I have never really had an issue with it, but if you plan on putting your power down, you plan on having good cylinder pressure, you plan on having everything as top as you can get it. Once the motor's heated up, if you have a long runner manifold like I do, EFI manifold's going to run over your valve cover. You're going to have to take that off to do this step. It's worth it for me. I'm pushing this 351 stock bottom end further than it should be. So I need everything to be as good as possible. But run down and torque them again once it's hot. So you get it heated up, you get a nice cycle, you let it cool down, you run it through again, just to double check it. Like I said, you got a long runner intake manifold, you're going to have to pop that off, take the valve covers off, run it through, put it back on, you're good. There are guys that will torque it all down, come back the next day, torque it all again, and I have seen the next day where the bolts have relaxed, with lack of a better explanation of it, because there's grains in the bolt, especially if you're torquing a bolt down, that whole bolt's got to twist. The bolt itself won't loosen up, but the grains of the bolt will be better after sitting, and then you can actually get a little bit more out of it. Not a higher torque number, but you can torque it to that same torque number again, just from everything just sitting. What I'm going to do, now that I've told you guys, a broad thing that you can do, but once again, it's your options, what you have going on, it's what you need. You need to fire this thing up tonight and get it out of here. Torque it all down, send it down the road. You don't have to come back and retorque it. It's fine. You have the time, come back and retorque it. It's going to be worth it for you. So, yeah, I mean, there's not much more to it. I know that was a lot in a short amount of time, but I wanted to go over it quick. So, if you have any questions, ask me. I'll do the best I can to answer it. Other than that, have fun with it.